Test. Can you hear me, John?
Yepper. So, Denny, I'm going to throw out an apology right away here because I ordered my lunch over an hour ago and it still hasn't shown up yet.
I'll bring it right over, John.
The place that claims to be freaky fast is not freaky fast today.
All right, got me, John?
I got you.
Okay.
Good morning, Denny.
Hey,
Good
guys.
afternoon, Denny, John, everybody.
Yeah.
I love your posts, John, on Facebook.
Which one?
All of them. Especially the ones I don't understand.
Well, here's one for you, Kevin. I haven't posted it yet.
Great.
It'll go up later today.
You're host now, John, by the way.
Thank you, sir. So I don't know where this came from. I did share this with Denny earlier today, so he's already heard it. Spend your 20s working for someone who's accomplished what you want to accomplish. Spend your 30s finding out who you are. Spend your 40s being that business owner that you worked for in your 20s. In your 50s, teach and mentor the next generation. And in your 60s, spend it with your grandkids.
May I make a comment?
Yeah.
I never before in my life, until this one first moment right now, that I regret I was born in the 50s. In the 50s, there's a totally different mindset, and I followed it perfectly in the 50s and 60s, which is not a good thing, my friend. But I agree with that 100%. It's a great thing to teach people.
So, Kevin, again, going back to some more cliches, when's the best time? When's the best time to plant an apple tree? A couple of years ago, so you have apples today, right?
Actually, the best time to plant an apple tree is the first time you decide to plant an apple tree.
Yep. And when's the next best time? Today.
Today, exactly. Sure. But today is the best time if you haven't done it before.
Exactly right. That's my point. We get a lot of Sherry's on today. Don, you look like Sherry.
Why is that happening? Why is that happening?
Because we're all clicking on the link that Sherry sent out when she schedules
the
role play call. And because of that, everybody shows up as Sherry. Now, I know the young lady with the long blonde hair actually could be named Sherry, but I'm pretty darn sure Dawn is not named Sherry.
And the blonde lady, her name is Chrissy. She works with me.
Well, at least it ends in the same vowel.
All right. Well, it's 1 o'clock here Eastern time, and it's probably in Arizona. It's probably 8 a.m. as much time changes there are between Arizona and the East Coast of the United States. Welcome. Denny Grimes here, the mastery of real estate. We're talking about, as we always do, question-based, listing-enhanced conversations. And it's fun here because we have a changing market. My co-host is none other than the voice, John McLeod. Say hello, John.
That's because I've got a really good microphone, Denny, and a face for radio.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I appreciate you all being on. As always, we have a couple of things planned, and then we have some jack-in-a-box type things popping up. Is there going to be any requests from the crowd out there that you can chat in if you want? John's monitoring the chat. We might have some requests. I'm going to, while you're thinking about that, I had one request come in that we can chat. This was something an agent encountered and wanted to know if we could tackle it for him. So we're going to put it on tape, and I'll make sure that if the agent's not on, they can watch the videos. We might start off with this. And this was the situation. They're in a listing presentation. The people are renting. The wife and the husband are not on the same page about they want in a home. The wife has a home that she likes the best. The husband has a home that he likes the best. And they basically, because they could not agree, they decided to, or leaning towards signing another year's lease. So figured that'd be worth handling, John. So is there anybody out there on the Zoom call? We're not in our office, so we're back to the normal location all via Zoom. Anybody want to take that on? And you know, the specifics can vary. However, there's many times that you may not have agreement with two people involved in the buying decision. So this would be handy to have and put it in the can. So John, anybody out there want to go forward with this one?
Well, you know me, Denny, if nobody volunteers, then I'm going to start volunteering anyone named Sherry.
Yeah, and so you guys.
So
if you wanna
Don's going to
name
step
Don,
up first because he hasn't renamed himself. And by the way, guys, don't forget, don't only put your name up there, but put your location. For instance, Michael Ludwig is down in Marco Island. So, you know, Michael, go ahead and put your Marco Island address on there. And that way people on the call know where you are and referrals going back and forth. It's a great way to handle it. And those who don't know how to pronounce where Desi is, she's in Prescott, Arizona, not Prescott, Arizona. It's Prescott. Awesome. So Don, also known as Sherry.
I'm trying to rename myself quickly, but okay, I'll do that later.
You are in a conversation with Denny and Kristen right now, and they disagree on whether they should be buying or selling. Listen, it's not going to get any harder than having a conversation with Denny and Kristen. Okay. So, Denny, are you the one who wants to buy or wants to stay renting?
Well, we both would like to own. However, we have to agree on what we're going to buy, and we evidently can't. That's where we are. And
All right,
so,
Don, take it away.
Kristen's not here. She's flying to Las Vegas as we speak. Poor little thing, the Don, right? Yeah.
There's a new team leader position in Afghanistan opening, I hear.
Yeah, that's right. So there was a little softball accident. She caught a softball in the forehead and forgot to use her gloves. So she had about 25 stitches last night. So let's go. Don, you take it. We are face to face and just pretend like Kristen's there and she's going to be quiet, which you know is not realistic.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, Denny and Kristen, I appreciate where you're coming from. It's certainly, that is a quandary that a lot of people are in, whether to buy or whether to rent, and what the market is doing. So let me ask you, and any answer is okay. What do you guys think the market's doing right now? Is it moving towards you or away from you right now?
Hey, John, pick get a fill in for Kristen for me.
Desi, because she
Desi.
knows Kristen well enough that she can be a good Kristen.
I don't know if she could be that mean. Ready, Desi?
Denny,
Yes.
we're recording this and you're talking about your wife. Be careful.
I know. Well, okay, so you, Desi, just ask the question again, Don, but Debbie's going to be now filling in for Kristen. So go, just ask again. So
Sure.
Desi,
So Desi and Denny, so right now where you guys sit, do you think the market is moving towards you as a buyer, or do you think it's moving away from you?
Well, what I can see right now, it's moving away from us.
Moving away from you. And Denny, what do you think? What do you see?
now, I don't want you to think that we always disagree. We're just kind of on a little trend here. However, I think the market's trending back into our direction. I mean, interest rates are going up, and I think that I don't think there's as many buyers out there. So I think it's going in our favor, Don.
Okay, so you think it's going in your favor. With interest
Well,
rates
I
going up,
disagree.
you think fewer buyers are out there, and that's going to be coming back in your favor as a buyer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Well, and I appreciate that. Is there anything else, Denny? Any other reason why you wouldn't want to take advantage of this current market that we're in, moving away or moving towards you?
Well, we want to take advantage of it. The issue is, I guess we have some different things that we want in a house if we're going to own, and we haven't come to agreement. And so that must be the Lord telling us that we should stay here and rent another year.
Okay. So do you think that the Lord may be telling you to stay? Is that the sign? Is that the signs you're getting?
Well, okay, so I'm going to just kind of pause here a little bit if people are taking notes, and I put the model behind me. So Don is kind of following the model. It may be hard to see. However, if you want to write it down, or John will put it in the chat. You want to acknowledge, which Don did. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Then you want to isolate, which he's doing now, answer and close. Now, one of the things, though, and I'll just point this out, if you don't mind me using a very, very fine sandpaper on you, Don.
Please, absolutely.
That's the third question you've asked, and you're repeating everything I say. And I think if you need clarity, then you can say, well, are you saying this if you need it? Don't get in the habit of repeating everything they say. If you understand or feel there's not a lot of ambiguity, just say, okay, well, other than that. The other little challenges that I want to see how Don handles. There's two people in this conversation, and notice I've answered and I was waiting. I might have got preempted him a little bit. If you leave one person out of the conversation, that's going to alienate them.
Absolutely.
So Don, I don't want to get ahead of you. So let's say go back to the question. How are you going to balance this conversation with two people?
Well, I'm sitting right next to
Desi's there too. I mean,
Right.
we're side by side. Okay.
so I'm sitting next to her, and you're next, in a perfect situation. I'm closer to her than I am to you. So, Desi, are you on the same page with Denny, or are there any other concerns that you have that I need to know about as well?
So let's stop. Hang on. Let's stop there just for a second, because this is not rehearsed, you guys, and I'm only counting the blink. Ladies, or then it'd be ladies. Does that sound like? Does anyone have did that question feel right to you as the second person he asked? I'm just wondering, because maybe it's my imagination here.
I thought it was fine. I do that all the time. So.
Yeah, I know. Hey, you got a moose on your thing. Hey,
Canadian moose.
well, okay. Any other comments on it? Let me give you my blink on it. I've never said this before. However, I'm just going to throw it out there and you tell me what you think. Any other comments on, are you on the same page as Denny?
Not on the same page, because that's assumptive, but maybe say, are there any concerns that you have or anything else you want to add to that?
Well, I know I'm using a very fine grit on Don. He's an accomplished agent. However, it almost says, could it have been interpreted by some? Well, are you on Denny's page, or are you off on a reservation somewhere, versus just saying, how do you feel about it, Desi?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get it. Right. As soon as you brought that up, I'm like, oh, that could be interpreted that I'm looking upon her as the second-class citizen, the wife in the kitchen with the apron, right? I get it. Right. That's much better to just say, how do you feel?
Right. Okay. Anyway, small point. Keep going. You're asking Desi now.
So Desi, how do you feel?
Well, I know that Denny wants to rush in and buy some now, but I just feel like it's going to crash. And and we both think that the Lord is telling us something. We can't get on the same page as that, but I'm not out. I mean, we're out looking, and I don't see anything. I don't see the perfect house for us. And if we just wait, I think it's going to crash.
Okay. So let me just kind of rewind the tape from like a year ago, because you could be right. You definitely could be right. Your crystal ball could be right on. We could crash.
Yeah, you did it again.
What?
That's you're over acknowledging.
Okay. So
you can just say, okay, that's right.
Okay, thank you. That's right. What happens if our crystal ball is wrong? Desi.
Oh, I don't know. I guess we'll be in a worse position than we are now.
Okay. A year ago, if you knew, let's just pretend a year ago, you knew exactly what was going to be happening here in May 2022. Would you guys have bought back then?
Yes.
Okay. So is it possible?
Now you're ignoring me.
Right. So Denny, how's your crystal ball looking?
So I'm not attempting to be uber critical here. However, there is kind of, I mean, you're sitting there and if only one person's talking, do you think there's some value of getting the other person to weigh in?
100%. Yep.
And
So
sometimes
Denny,
when you're there, you don't have to say anything. You just kind of look over at them and say, and look. And sometimes, you know, I've been attempting to get a word in edgewise other than my editorial. Yeah, my wife won't let me speak. So, but however, honey, let's go back here, Desi, just for a little bit. You know, I mean, we don't know what the market's going to do. We agreed we're going to look for a house, and if we can find what we want, we were going to buy. Now, I like one house, you like another house, and that's really the crux of it, isn't it? Let's go back to the original. All right, let's not mess it up in the market yet.
Yes.
And so that's the issue, Don. Is that okay? So I mean, that house over there on Walden Lake is like awesome, and she doesn't like it because it's 2-story, and she's got maybe an elderly mother that, oh my gosh, might move in, and she can't handle steps, and so she likes the ranch.
That's what he says, but it's actually for him. I don't think that he has much longer where he can be climbing those stairs.
okay.
All right, I think
All right,
God's telling me that a new wife is in, a new model is in. So all right, so just handle this could be fun.
Yeah.
Let's
So,
just handle that.
All right. So it sounds to me like we've seen a couple of houses that you like. We just haven't been able to agree on the right house. So if the perfect house came along,
Perfect house.
well, if the right house came along that met most of your needs, maybe it had some steps that, you know, Denny could manage. If the right house could come along in the next couple of weeks with the interest rates going up, would you still buy it?
Well, we're you mind if I answer this, Des? We have to make a decision now because the only thing we can agree on, if we both don't like the house, we're going to rent. And so that's where we are. We have to make a decision on our landlord. Our landlord's going to, he's going to pop our rent up a little bit. However, he'll give us a break if we sign something here in the next week, a New Year's lease. And so that's where we are, Don. And I appreciate all the help you gave us.
Okay. So obviously the landlord's going to give you a discount if you sign up with him for another year. Is that right?
Now you're doing it again.
I know. It's an old
Stop
habit.
that.
So, all right. So you sign. All right. Got it, Denny. What do you think the interest rates are going to do in that next year?
Okay, so I'm going to guide you now. Okay, so he's asking questions. He's following the question base. Anyone can pop in here. He's asking me about interest rates. Well, I'll let him go a little bit and see where it goes. Well, they're going now. However, they're probably
totally chomping at the bit here, Denny.
I'm sorry.
I'm totally chomping at the bit here.
Go ahead.
All right.
So,
go
Don,
ahead.
let me ask you a question. What did God tell Denny and what did God tell Desi? They've mentioned this a couple times.
I know. I wanted to
This
say,
will go
well,
into motivation, right?
I wanted to say, well, who do you think has sent me?
Well, and I'll tell you, my initial reaction is God's telling Denny one thing and Desi something completely opposite. So the cynic in me says, well, God's not going to tell you something, tell one of you one thing and the other thing the polar opposite. So it's not God. That was my initial thought. And then I started thinking about it a little bit. Said they may be saying God's telling Denny something because this is Denny's needs and his wants. And Desi is being told what her needs and wants are. And then you find how those two fit together. As opposed to isolating one or the other. So, okay, Denny, God's telling you that you need this. Tell me more about that. And then the same thing with Desi. If they're hyper religious, do it.
All right. So again, you guys, I appreciate you popping in. Other people can pop in, and no one's really hitting on where my sweet spot is. No one's hitting on me. I don't know what Desi's, I've had a couple of hours or a day to think about this because they sent me this via email. So you're not scratching the issue. And I wouldn't personally I would not be using the God conversation because it's a dangerous road to go down.
That's why I didn't touch it.
Denny,
Yes.
would you try to unify them both and say, listen, well, how much rent are you both paying every month? Even with the discount of this, and then start going down that road of the paying of how much are you throwing away every single month and over the course of the next year?
Okay. All right. Now that could be a road that is in the right direction. However, here's the question that comes to my mind. When you have a couple that is in disagreement, and we've attempted to make this simple. Hey, listen, the only thing we can agree on if we don't find a house, we'll rent. So no one's asked us about the motivation, really, of why we wanted to own a home. And another great question might be, can you both agree that building equity would be better than renting long-term? You might want to start building some momentum on what they can agree on.
Wouldn't you also ask, what do they both like in a home as opposed to what do they dislike from each other, and try to find out where they're unified on what they both want?
You could go in that direction. However, I think this is where I would go, and I'll just go Desi and James. Okay, James, let me ask you: can you, if you can't agree on the specifics of the house, the particulars of the home, what can you agree on that is a benefit of owning? Why would you like to own your own home? Let's forget about the small things. Let's look at the big picture.
Well, we'll be building equity over time, which is a benefit to us. So then we'll actually own something instead of just renting.
Okay, Des?
And then just owning a home, you're able to do what you want, what you need, it's security.
Now, that's an interesting thing right there. I wasn't even thinking that. However, isn't that an important word, security? Building equity and security. Now, following the model, I would then say, what else? And I'm going to ask the question. So I'm not going to always go back and forth. I'm just going to ask the general, what else would be the benefit? You guys see where I'm going with this. I am building some momentum on what they agree with. And let's just say that's it. Then I'm going to put a bow in this role play so we go to something else. The next thing I think I would weave into it is just where I think Don was going there earlier in the conversation. Well, let me ask you this, you guys. You signed a year lease, right? And what if you had made the decision to own a year ago? What do you think? What kind of equity would you have built up in the last year had you made the decision a year ago?
A lot.
Quite a bit.
Yeah.
Not good enough for me, guys. If that's all they say, don't stop there. Put a dollar sign on that, you guys.
I would say about 50,000.
James?
Yeah, I think Desiree's right. Yeah, I would say probably about that.
Well, if the market continues to go that way, and here I'm putting the cherry on the top. Does anybody know where I'm going with this question? Do you think the $50,000 or the potential $50,000 in equity plus the security, I'm using their words again, is worth compromise on some of the smaller issues of which house you own? So I'll just stop there and open it up and see what you guys think of my Jinzu steak knives and how I cut up that radish.
Can you say that again, that last sentence?
I don't know.
Compromising.
Yeah, for the potential $50,000 in equity plus the security of having your own home and living in your own home. Would that be worth you guys coming to some mutual compromise on some of the specifics of the exact home you own?
I think I think it's great. I'm having a couple who's having this exact issue. And sometimes, you judge the couple and you're like, each one just cares about themselves. The wife wants what she wants, the husband wants what he wants, and they're really not coming together. So
And
The
what that could be
question, what if they
really
don't?
simple.
Say it again.
I said, oh, well, this, in this situation, I guess it's stairs, so I guess it's not that simple. Well, you can put, that thing that takes you up the stairs, that chair.
Oh,
I mean, there's a lot of things that are just so simple that the equity definitely outweighs even some renovations that they, need to do to make it their home for both of them.
And I think, Denny, turning us both to looking in the same direction was the key. I mean, you get us looking at the same outcome and the same path to get us to where we want to be or where we should be. And I thought that was great that, you just find unifying things instead of dividing things to bring us together.
yeah, doesn't that seem to kind of, if you're looking for some sort of an agreement, and you're the professional negotiator for a union and labor, don't you want to focus on what's common?
Right.
The other thing is, and if you want to write a point down, is if you want to model this, the point is we're always better off to quantify, or better yet, put a dollar sign on the cost of not acting. Now, so if it's a financial push, all right. If it's $50,000, well, I don't know. All right, let's assume it's $1 million decision in the next year. At some point in time, the teeter-totter of pain and pleasure is going to be like, honey, I mean, this is crazy. Let's just compromise, okay? You pick something, I pick something. Yeah, but I want to pick first, okay? I get to pick first. Then it'll be another little argument, right? So what do you think, John?
I like it, Dan. Get them on the same side, thinking about not the negatives, but the positives of what they're doing with their purchase.
And you can even go and say that which house they buy is irrelevant. The mistake they make, the mistake they're about ready to make is not stepping into the market so they can build equity and have security.
Exactly. And one of the things to keep in mind, whether it applies specifically, we didn't dig deep enough to find out if it applies specifically in this case. When you buy a house, you're locking in your payment. And if they're renting, you can ask questions like, I get it. I understand that you want to rent. Do you think in the future your rents are going to go up or down?
Right. I was heading there, John. That's the question.
I love it, buddy. Awesome. And everyone will answer rents are going to go up. Wouldn't you like to lock in the security of this payment today? And as we deal with inflation in the future, guess what? Your payment is effectively going down.
Yes, that's all. Now that wouldn't have worked in our case, in my case, that wasn't it.
Right.
However, that is when they're renting, it's pretty easy. John, did anybody put any request in before we go to our next little role play?
Denny, I just want to say that to quote you, to put the ribbon on it or the bow on it, put the dollar cost on, put the dollar on the cost of not taking action, whatever that not taking action is. Get them to agree, but you put a dollar cost on not getting into the market, then you can build on that.
Well, remember when I asked him I asked him a question, I forget exactly how I worded it. And then one of them said, well, how much would you have made? A lot or whatever. I mean, that's not an emotional thing. What you have to do is somehow make the pain real. The dollar sign is the pain of not acting. So,
and Denny, there's nothing in the chat at this point. Are you guys seeing anything out in the marketplace? It's like, man, I'm just not quite sure how to handle that. It got stumped by it.
Could I ask a verbal?
You may.
Okay, so if that same situation, but different, differences of opinion, husband and wife want two different locations. So Denny, how do you get them to come together? Because husband doesn't want to move, but he acknowledges that the move is necessary for more space for his family. So husband, wife, two separate locations.
You mean they want, one wants one neighborhood, one wants the other?
Yeah, so how would you isolate, address, and do the whole thing?
Um,
Or have them come together? Like, how would you structure that question?
okay, well, rather than go through the conversation, I think it would be very similar to what we just did, because I think what we just did, whether or not they couldn't agree in a house is the same as they can't agree in a location. So what's their
Right.
alternative? Well, okay, we're gonna own. Okay, so why did you, or we're gonna rent. So why did you want to own? Well, how about equity, blah, 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 security. It's the same conversation. So that could be done really fast. Now, who was listening to this? And Yael, you can take it if you want, and we'll take about 3 or 4 minutes. We won't spend 20 minutes on it. And give me a couple and let's see if you can bring them through following the model I just demonstrated. Do you want to do it, Yael?
No, I want you to like tell me the one clincher question. So wife says she wants land. Husband says he wants to be near the synagogue. So the two don't come together. So then what's the next question?
Okay, so James, James, okay, I'll just go back to you, or actually, John, I'm going to say John and Yael, you are the couple. And so, so I'll do this as quickly as possible. So what I'm hearing you say is you don't agree on where your next home is.
Right.
John?
There's no way I'm living in it. Yeah.
And so what are you going to do if you don't agree?
That is a no-win question from a husband's standpoint. So I'm going to remain silent as a smart husband would.
Yeah, but all right, I get that. So then, all right, so then what are you going to do if you don't agree on where the next house is going to be?
Well, he's going to have to move where I want to move because there's no way I'm going to live where he wants to move.
Well, this is a pretty short role play. Okay, well, we can either find a house or find a divorce attorney. What do you want to do? That's called an alternative choice.
And nothing wrong with saying that, guys.
Well,
And I said, why don't we buy 2 houses?
I want to, for fairness, because that was more fun than practical. The first thing I'm going to do is, okay, what are you going to do if you don't agree? So just play with us just a couple more minutes.
I think we're just going to end up staying put where we are.
Yeah, 30 years I lived where he wants to live. And you know what? Now it's time for us to live where I want to live.
And John, are you good with that?
I mean, Denny, I want to be close to the synagogue.
Well, let me ask you, what's more, now again, I wonder, it sounds a little tongue in cheek. What's more important to you, being close to your wife or close to the synagogue?
I like that question. Being close to the synagogue.
Being close to the synagogue.
Okay, then I'm just not going to play with you guys anymore because you're both black.
Hey, Denny, would you ask Yael what's important about owning more land? Why is that an important feature for her?
Well, here, this is what I see happen a lot, you guys, in the role play. You get too deep into minutia that you lose sight of the main issue. I'm taking it down the road simply, a binary question. Well, what are you going to do if you don't agree?
The wife will probably give in to the husband.
Do we care?
I care.
You care?
Yeah, I think the husband is the self-centered person.
Well, okay, we're not therapists here. However, they would be better off. I mean, I'm assuming that they're probably renting now. Would they be better off to own something somewhere, even if somebody has to compromise, than not to own?
No, because where they are now, husband is cozy as could be, couldn't want to move for nothing in the world. And the wife got the husband to agree to more space. So he's willing to move. And they own a house in cash worth $2 million.
Well, if you don't help them buy because you don't think it's fair, somebody else will. let's go on to something else, and then we'll get that couple. We'll get John and Yael into marriage counseling as soon as we can. All right, let's go. Here's I got a text, you guys. Here's the market of the moment. I got a text from a very good real estate agent, and this was the report. I just got back, as you know, I'm coaching Bold, and I'm always asking the questions like you guys are. A lot of people there on the phone are in different markets and in part of Kristen Cole Network. Here it is. This one agent, one team put 5 houses on the market this week, 5 new listings. No offers, low showings. One of the listings is in the sweet spot of the market. You guys probably know what that is. And it's been had a few showings and it had a buyer set as top 3. And they went on to say is that a month ago, those houses would have had multiple offers on them by now. So that is a report from an agent that's pretty productive in one part of the country. So let's just assume, and again, I don't have to assume, I believe that's happening. I'm working with the buyer too. And I actually share the chat conversation. And I might even do it on this role play. And he's a $2 million plus buyer saying, I'm not, I think this market's changing. Mortgage applications are down 40%. You guys have been hearing this. So what I'm going to do now is let's build a couple of role plays. One from a buyer. What kind of conversation would you have with a buyer that thinks that? And then we want to have a role play. You have to have a conversation now with the seller of one of these 5 listings. And we'll assume it's the one in the sweet spot, not one that's $80 million. And because agents now are going to have to go back to something you haven't had to do in the last year or 2 or 3, which is service a listing beyond 10 days. So where are our hands, John? Who wants to, and they don't have to be the agent. I'm happy to do it, or they can be the agent if they want to attempt it and get some practice. Remember, you guys, this is awesome stuff to help you with your thinking. And I know many of you take it seriously. You can go back and watch it on YouTube. I see Yael taking a lot of notes. However, it's like John Wooten talking about basketball. Yes, I am comparing myself with John Wooten when it comes to this. I got 40 years in doing this, you guys, and I'm not always right. However, I'm always learning. And however, you're not dribbling. You're not shooting shots. You've got to practice this, you guys, to be better. So with that said, who wants to be better?
I think it's going to be Josh
I'll go.
in Denver. Oh, well, Agni stepped up and saved Josh. Good job.
John, I knew that as soon as you started talking, it was going to be me. I don't know why.
Now we'll catch you next time, Josh.
The smile.
Josh can be the seller. Let's go with the buyer right now. So who am I talking to? Aggie?
Agni, yep.
All right. So I am the buyer. I'm going to take the buyer part. I want you to take the real estate agent part and say, look, I'm not really sure that this is a good time to step in. Interest rates are going up, and I'm losing my urgency to buy.
Okay, let me ask you this. Where do you think, you just kind of gave me the answer about the interest rate. You think it's going to go higher or lower in the next month?
So what is the model, Agni?
Sorry, I acknowledge that you think that it's not a good time to get in the market, correct?
Yes, and again, well, okay. And what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, and what he just said, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm going back to Don has a habit of over acknowledging and repeating. In fact, he said, oh yeah, a lot of people think. What I don't want you to do is I don't want you to go down that road. I don't want you to add validity to what they're already thinking. In fact, how would it be if you acted a little surprised? Oh, really?
Okay.
Or just say, I get it. Just don't
And Denny,
elaborate on it.
surprise is an acknowledgement, isn't it?
Yeah, and you don't have to be, and again, here's the thing, it's just acknowledge it. Don't
Right.
cement it in their mind.
Okay. I understand, Danny, that you
Perfect.
have some reservations about getting the market.
Yep.
So what are your reasons? I mean, would you just elaborate on them?
Well, okay, now I'm confused. What are my reasons for what?
For why you wouldn't want to get into the market or buy a house right now?
Well, I mean, I think there's probably going to be a market shift, and it's because interest rates are going up, and maybe it might get better. I think it might get better, after November. However, now I think it's kind of a stinky time to buy.
And you think that's because of the interest rates, correct? And you think that do you think that the house prices are going to go up or down right now by September or November?
I think I'll get better buys if I wait.
Okay. And why do you think that?
Because I think buyers are cooling off, and I've kind of already seen some YouTube things where they're predicting the market to shift downward a little bit, which means that'll work in my favor. So, it's gone up a lot. I think it's going to cool off, and I think sellers might get a little antsy and maybe a little more motivated if I wait.
But do you think that the interest rate is also going to go down, or you think it's going to go up?
I don't know. I mean, it's already doubled, so I don't think it's going to go to 10 or 12%.
I mean, the Fed has already come out and said that they're going to go up in 0.5% or more.
You're spending a lot of time telling me stuff. You're
Right.
not digging.
Okay. Okay. May I share something with you?
No, that sounds like a statement coming.
Okay. All right. Other than that, is there anything?
That's where you should have started.
Got it. Okay.
Those 3 words make it so simple.
Right.
Because you went into all these things and you were leading me somewhere, and I was resisting.
Right.
And here's the other thing, you guys, on the leading. When you start leading people with a question, you are using your words, not their words. So other than the fact, no, I'm gonna make it simple. Other than that, no, I don't think now is a good time to buy. However, I mean, we do want a home, and we've got grandkids and want to visit us more, and we want a bigger yard, and so yeah, we want to own. We don't have to buy, and we want to get a good buy.
Sorry. Yeah. So sorry, but Denny, I missed that.
We just want to get a good buy.
Okay. And what is the reason for you to looking for a house? What is the motivation? What is your motivation?
Yeah, that's
Why
what
would you want?
we've got grandkids, going to be visiting. We want a nice yard, swing set out there for them, and we live kind of 0 lot line now, so we want a yard.
Okay. So what I'm hearing you say is that you want to be near grandkids, you want to have a yard.
No, I didn't say near grandkids. I said grandkids would be visiting.
And you want to basically have something for them to play in, correct?
Yes. Now, again, going back to my instruction with John, was that clear in the beginning? Because don't repeat what you don't have to repeat. And here's why. Every buyer and seller has an egg timer going off in their brain. Their attention span or tolerance with us talking will only be so long. So make sure, like a boxer, you're giving their best punches when you can, because at some point in time, one of them, particularly if they're squirrel chasers, might be tuning you out.
Okay.
So that's why don't add a bunch of words if you don't have to. If you need clarity, then get clarity.
Okay. So wouldn't it be better for you to have that situation where your grandkids can visit you now as opposed to later?
Why would you say that?
I mean, is that why you would want to buy a house, right?
Well, that's our motivation. Yeah, right. Because our grandkids want to visit.
All right. And I mean, wouldn't you want that sooner rather than later?
But why would you ask that?
I'm just curious.
Well, Okay, okay, so this is learning, you guys.
Well, I'm learning, okay.
Tell me how old my grandkids are.
Okay.
No, I'm asking, how old are they?
From what you told me before, they're 6 and 8. Is that
Did I
correct?
say that, or I might have a mental problem here? I don't think I told you, did I?
No,
No.
but it would be good to know.
See, now again, this is how we learn. What if I said, you said, wouldn't it be better to have it sooner versus later? Well, you are assuming whatever your picture is, you're assuming my grandkids are born. They may not even be born yet. So that is a challenge of going
Got it.
down a road without clarity.
Got it. Got it.
Help them out, John.
Another question that he mentioned a couple times is he wants to get a good deal. So
Right.
Denny, how will you know? What's your trigger, your gauge to know whether you got a good deal?
Now he's going to dig on that, which is a great direction to go in. Let me give you my blink, and I want everyone to write this down. When they give you that green light, now, when I first started talking, I was backing off, right? I was saying, hey, look, now's not a good time to buy. Interest rates, I think I get a better buy. I don't want to overpay, blah, blah, blah. You're thinking I'm not a buyer because I want to wait. And then what I said, and I consciously did this, I want a good deal. Light bulbs and signs and buzzers should be going off in your mind when you heard that, because what did I just say?
That there is a chance that you might get a good deal.
No,
So there's a
you're
chance
right.
that he'll buy
There's a
right
chance
now.
you
Yes.
you might think that there's a good deal out there. Yeah.
I was saying no, 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 no.
Yeah.
That's like me when I asked Kristen out on a date. She was saying no, no, no. However, if we go out, I want a nice dinner. Now, what did I just learn? That she says maybe a yes if I take her to a nice dinner.
So how do you gauge a good deal? How do you
Not
know?
the right question yet. Not the right question.
Okay.
The question I would ask is, are you saying then if a good deal existed now, would you move on it? That's the beauty of this model, because that's a closing statement. Now you are beginning to kind of build your little arsenal. You're starting to triangulate them. There, and if he says yes, if the deal is good, I'm going to buy. What happened to all the arguments about the interest rates and all the other stuff? Did it kind of melt away a little bit?
Right. Right.
Now then you would dig on what
Right.
John's going down.
Right.
So I don't want to take up all of the time on this. I want to make sure I have time for the seller. Anyone want to take it another direction? Someone want to take over as the agent to land? I don't want to go down into what a good deal is. Any comments on that quick little role play? Any ahas you want to share?
Yeah, Denny, one question on that one. So once he mentioned that there's a good deal, I mean, if there's a good deal in his mind, then he's willing to buy. Would you also go in the fact that because interest is going up, there'll be less number of buyers out there, and that can play into them getting a better deal? Or would you stay away from that?
Well, it sounded like a statement. I don't want you to make a statement. It sounds like you're telling me stuff. Now, if you ask it a question, it might be a good one. Can you ask the question?
Okay. Do you think there are going to be more buyers in the market right now versus before vying for the same house?
No, I think there'll be less. I think buyers are backing off. That's why I think there might be a good deal out there. I think there'll be less buyers.
Correct. And so would you think that you'll be able to pay less for a house right now because of that, or more?
Well, I think that if I think as I wait, I'm betting on I can pay less.
But if prices go down, do you think there'll be more buyers who come back into the market, or more?
Now, see, this is a good line of questioning, because there's kind of like there's always a seesaw. So if I wait for prices to go down, what's
Right.
going to happen.
Yeah.
For buyers that come in. However, right now we're in that pause right now where that might be, however, I think there's more buyers backing off. I'm going to get the front page of the good deal book. That's why I want to be ready.
So, I mean, when do you think that might be?
Well, it depends how good. Can you find me one?
Sure. I mean, we can look and you can tell me if it's a good deal and we can work on that.
So what's interesting, so again, maybe you think I'm being too easy. I was a kind of a pretty good no. I'll wait to, well, if you get the right deal, maybe we'll dance. Maybe you'll be my huckleberry. Okay, so that makes sense. All right, let's go to seller. Who wants to be
Now
the-
we're going to step into Josh. He's been loaded, locked and loaded and waiting.
Chomping at the bit, let me tell you.
I love the bow tie. Is that real or is that clip on?
It is. I owned a bow tie business for a few years, so they're all real. My grandpa owned one for 30 years in Vermont, so I wear it on a day-to-day.
Where are you now?
I'm in Colorado.
Nice, looks nice, Josh. All right, so you're the agent?
Sure.
Josh, what's the deal, dude? I mean, I was a little concerned listing with you because looks like you're just out of high school. Yet, you know, my friend recommended I use you, and we've been on the market here 10 days, and crickets, dude, crickets. What's going on?
Hmm. That's a tough question to answer.
Josh, here's the first clue.
Let's hear
We
it.
should all be doing this at the beginning of these anyway. What's the model?
Acknowledge would be
It's
the
on your
first.
screen behind Denny. Read the whole thing.
Acknowledge, isolate, address, and close.
So step one.
No, hey, Denny, I get it. You know, I definitely get where you're coming from with that. It has been 10 days. And then isolate, or I'm thinking maybe go into why he thinks it's been, you know, it hasn't sold, but I don't know if that's too overreaching, you know?
So simple acknowledgement. I get it. So,
Yeah.
Denny, what concerns you about 10 days?
Well, as we talked, I really wanted it sold inside the 30 days because I've got a new job to get to, and 10 days of my 30 days are not only gone, it's like I am on an island here wondering why I hired a high school guy to list my house.
I think, Denny, you should be
It's yours,
fired
Josh.
for being so rude.
I'm sorry?
You should be fired for being so rude.
No, I get it all the time. But then I look at my grandma who was 94 and she did not look that age. So I'll take that as a compliment, Denny. But walk me through, Denny, what that looks like when you do sell your house. You said you're starting a new job in well, 20 days from now?
Yeah, I'm moving to New Jersey. That's where a lot of rude people live.
Hey, you're absolutely right. That's where I come from. So
Yeah, so I've got a new job. My wife and I are actually opening up a florist business there with where my son is in New Jersey. So we want to get there for the summer season.
okay, and what does that look like for you? You buying a house? Are you renting? What does that look like?
All right, so I'm wondering where you're going with this.
I'm just trying to figure out why 30 days is your stopping point, and just getting a little bit more information on that. Because if you already have something lined up, you've already closed on a property, then that's one thing. But if you are selling and then buying, it's going to take a lot longer than 30 days. So we're already past that window, regardless of how long your house sells.
Well, I want to be up there in 30 days, so we have to get our shop open, et cetera, et cetera. So
Okay, perfect. Is the sale of your house contingent of you moving, or is this just a decision that you've already made?
well, we've already made the commitment. We have to
Okay.
be up there, yeah.
So what does that look like if in 30 days we haven't closed? Not sold, but closed. Because on average, you know, closing is usually 30 days. So even if we sold on the day after we put it live, we're still after that 30-day window.
Well, I have allowed for that. I wanted it to be closed inside of 60 days. So I figured 30 days, you know, we have a contract, 30 days closed. That'd be kind of perfect, Josh.
Sure, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It would be perfect. Let's see. What would happen if you don't, I don't know if I asked this, what would happen if we don't close in 30 days. I don't think you answered that question, Denny.
I'm going to fire you.
Okay. No, I mean, I get that, but where does that leave you then?
Well,
You
it leaves me in a pickle. I mean, it leaves me in a pickle. You better get off this line of questioning pretty fast because it's not scratching my itch.
Slippery slope.
Somebody help him.
Yeah, Don, I'll call on you.
What? Okay, can I jump in?
Jump in, Yael.
Don't be
Ladies
rude, though.
first.
Yeah.
Don't be rude,
I'll
y'all.
try not to be rude.
Ladies first.
Just for perspective, if your house has had crickets in 10 days and you hired me to sell your house, clearly the price is too high. So Denny, you guide me to like pivot in that direction. Okay, let me ask you, why do you think it hasn't sold? Why do you think it's been quiet?
Right. So that's the question Josh was attempting to have the courage to ask. So, and Josh, you're right. That would have been a good question. Well,
Denny, couldn't we go back to the three outcomes?
well, Josh probably doesn't know
The
that.
fishing, yeah.
Oh, that's what you signed, Denny.
So, all right, Don, you know this. So if those people don't have this form, this basically is the best listing form on the planet. And you have that conversation when you take the home, take the listing, set expectations, because you will have, particularly if the market's starting to slow, you will have more and more conversations with sellers about this. And the first thing, if it is not successful, guess who they're going to blame? You, the agent. So Josh, then, okay, so Don, can you walk us through, you be the listing agent? And let's see, Denise, hey, Denise, thanks. Denise is on here too. She's right, the 3 outcomes. So how would you handle it from here? Well, let's just assume we went over the 3 outcomes at the listing.
Right.
All right.
So Denise, remember the form we signed about the 3 outcomes?
No, I don't remember.
That's okay. Here's the form right here.
No, hang on. I love that. When he said that's okay, it's like awesome. It made me feel good. Like, okay, he's not going to give me a demerit for not remembering.
I didn't want to repeat anything. That's okay. Let's just review. Let's review on this document. Nobody knows. We don't know what the market's going to do, but we did agree 10 days ago that if we had first outcome, no showings. Number 2, and no showings at all. Number 2, showings but no offers. We're not there yet. And number 3, it's going to sell. So we agreed. You remember that the position that we started out here at $650,000 may have been aggressive 10 days ago.
It's
The
kind of a
market's
long speech. Long speech, Don. You're not asking me. I'm falling asleep.
So the market has responded to our initial price. Do you want a position down here now?
Okay, so Denise, all right, awesome. Thanks for. No, I'm going to see if Denise wants to come on mic. Denise, you want to walk through this?
Yeah. So, Denny, I agree. If you recall, when we first listed, we said we would try an aggressive price because the market has been sort of all over the place. But we also talked about the 3 different outcomes. If you recall, we talked about we could either have no showings or just a couple showings, or we could have a lot of showings.
Okay, so, all right, so here's, you guys have got this. However, I want to give you just a little bit of polish on this. All right, Denise, I'm coming to you. You're the disappointed seller. You're the seller. So let's go back. First of all, this is a note for everyone. When you use the sheet, the beauty of this sheet is, and you should be having, and I really believe it's weekly, not W-E-A-K-L-Y, W-E-E-K-L-Y, weekly conversations with your sellers, because they're like pressure cookers. And the only way to alleviate that is to have conversations with them, even if you have a no report. So let's just move on. So, and then I would say, this form is talked to at the listing presentation and initialed. Then you set your appointment for your follow-up. So remember, Denise, when we were, let's just say it was like 10 days ago, when we listed, we'd have a conversation in 10 days. And I asked you to have your fishing sheet handy. Do you have it with you?
I do.
Now I'm making sure that every follow-up call, they have that, because this is your get out of trouble free card. So we've been on the market 10 days. And so what outcome are we at?
One, if there's.
We're number one.
Yeah.
And so remember what outcome number one meant? You see, the only difference of what I'm doing versus what you're doing is I'm making them tell me
Right,
what's going on.
right.
Now, why would I do that?
You want their buy-in. You're not just
Own- ownership.
telling them, you're getting their, you know, it's together. You're doing this together.
What we have a tendency to do many times, guys, particularly because we do it so much, is we're not even aware of how many words we start stringing together, and they're not hearing all of them. So we're an outcome one, right, Denise?
Yes, we are.
And also, I'm a big believer in a visual. Now, again, we might be on the phone, so it may not matter. However, for Zoom, if you notice the drawing to see the fish are here, the bait's here. So what is the remedy of that?
We have to reposition the bait. We have to look at the pricing of the house again.
Yeah, yes, but I don't want you to push back on me, because in 10 days, is it possible, or even in 10 months, the sellers are still going to blame us? What are they going to blame us on? Denise, push back on me. There's something I'm not doing
You're
right.
not doing it, you know, I haven't seen any marketing. You haven't done any marketing.
Marketing, okay.
Or an
so
open house? I haven't had any open houses.
I got it. So other than that, is there any other things you think that maybe I should be doing that I'm not? See, there's more than one way to unpack. You've got to, don't just take one thing. What else do you think is maybe it's not working in your favor? That you're feeling like you don't want to hire me because, you don't think I'm doing a good job. So what else, Denise?
No, just the marketing. I think we need to maybe put some advertisements out there and some open houses. Yeah, I don't want to tell you how to do your job, but I think those are the things we need to be doing to market it.
So now, Josh, I'm going to go back, or anyone, how can you demonstrate that the marketing's working?
You show him statistics of the amount of times the house was viewed and it was saved. No?
No, that's exactly right. You guys, the internet has done such a good job for us, because now you will be prepared to say, well, you might be surprised to learn, Denise, that here is the analytics, the Google Analytics, or whatever it happens to be, that in the last 10 days, we've had 185 people actually take their virtual tour. 19 people have put a heart by it. This is their favorite home. And it came up in 1,800 searches. So let me ask you, I mean, doesn't that kind of suggest that it's out there and people are looking at it? However, they're electing not to see it. Does that give you some indication that the marketing is working, Denise?
Yeah, I'm glad to see that, but you still haven't done any open houses.
Okay, so, all right, so no. And so let me ask you, when you bought this house, or let me ask you this, when you sell this house, you're moving to Orlando. Are you shopping for a home?
I am, yes.
And how are you shopping?
I'm looking online. I'm on Zillow every day.
Well, that's right, because that's where the buyers are. So if you wanted to attract buyers, you think my effort should be on basically, you're not going to open houses because you're not in Orlando, right?
Right.
So all of these people that are looking, all these things on these numbers are people just like you that want to buy a home.
Mm-hmm.
And so let me ask you, if you happen to own a retail store, and I'll put a bow on this really fast because it's 2:01. And you had a really nice dress shop, and right out there you had a rack, and you had some cool jackets and whatever. And you saw 170 people pick up the jacket, look at the price tag, and put it back. Now, these people walked in your store and they said no to the jacket. What would be the maybe challenge there, or opportunity for you as a shop owner?
Right, yeah, they'd probably wait for it to get on clearance.
Well, I mean, people are walking in the store and not buying. And that's what I'm showing you. We had people walk in the store and not want to see your home.
Mhm.
So does you guys, John, maybe we might have to fill in the gaps for me. Are you guys seeing that? Do you guys think that you could build a case around the marketing? Because you probably most likely can't show all the glossy ads you're running and here you're in the classified, blah, blah, blah. So what are you hearing? I'll just shut up. I've been talking too much, just like I accuse you guys of it. What are you guys hearing? What are you learning?
Well, Don put something in the chat that is absolutely perfect. A big takeaway, which is we all talk too much, ask short questions and be quiet.
I think he was telling me to be quiet, actually.
It's entirely possible.
No, you don't tell the coach what to do.
I don't tell you guys enough. I mean, a lot of you guys are, and some of you I don't know, and others, I mean, I have the utmost respect for a lot of the people I'm talking to. I learn a lot of things, you guys, doing this with you guys. You guys help me be better at this. I trust I'm at least giving you half of what I'm getting out of this. Back to you. So, anyone want to, two things. Tell me something or give me an aha, even if you've been quiet. And one other thing, John, what would it look like if maybe, if you think this is valuable based on the money you have to pay for it? Maybe you want to tell a friend that you like in real estate. No, not your competitor. Don't let them be better at this. Maybe somebody you like. What would it be like if we could grow our audience a little bit? And so my passion is impacting people's lives so they can impact people's lives. So, John, get us a couple of ahas and we'll get out of here, and we'll must be happy hour soon if you're on the East Coast.
Nah, I got a listing appointment. No happy hour today. Kennerson, what do you got?
I was going to say the aha that I always have, and it's a good anchoring point for me. I'm just as pretty much as high I as you can get. So I talk way too much. I talk when I'm excited. I talk when I'm nervous. So it's definitely a good anchoring point for me. I think scaling this Friday call, more people, more unique cases, more input. I think exactly what you're saying, Denny. You learn a lot from the people that come on to this show and give their examples. I think you just scale that. It's just going to be much better.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Denise.
It's still great. Don't get me wrong.
Well, if you don't have that form, all you have to do is go to, I don't know where you go to.
Facebook and then the files within your Facebook.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Denny Grant, what's it? The Mastery? What is it, Josh?
You just
Let
email
me-
I think it's the Mastery Real Estate page that it's
I
on.
think it
Denny.
is. Yeah, I can check really quick.
Yeah, if you'll let them know, maybe put it in the chat or whatever. I think it's, I forget what.
And if you can't find it, you can always email me, john@dennygrimes.com. That's JON, no H, at dennygrimes.com.
Denny Grimes Mastermind. There might be a different one, but that's where I found mine.
On
Okay.
Facebook? On
On
Facebook?
Facebook, yeah, it's the group.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Love you, mean it. Be careful out there.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Thank you.
See you next
Bye.
week, guys.
See you next week.
Thank you.